Hello and welcome to a brand new video of mine where I will be going to give you my reviews, my thoughts and my scores on the dances of Stadium Dancing 2021, the first week of competition. So, without further ado, let's start with the first couple of the evening, Tom and Amy and the Cha-Cha-Cha. What a stunning performance to open the series with. Tom's musicality is out of this world. He is a natural mover. He was totally into the beat. His partnership with Amy was marvelous. And his bright and optimistic personality came through the dance, and it was a joy, an absolute joy to behold. He has it all to go all the way to the final. He has an outstanding sense of rhythm, and a good sense of rhythm is the key to succeeding dancing. He needed to have a tad more hip action in places and also work on his arms and on his balance while doing spins. But having said that, his cha-cha-cha was so neat, so sharp, so crisp. It made me smile from ear to ear all the way through. If he only works on polishing some technical aspects, he will shine brighter than a diamond. And I will score the Cha-Cha-Cha, the first dance of the brand new series, a 6. And let's continue to the second couple of the night, Tilly and Nikita dancing the balls. As a performance, it was very soft and romantic. I truly loved the connection between those two. However, technically, there were many errors. There was not a step that Tilly did correctly, sadly. In ballroom, it's crucial to go forward with the heel. Tilly danced the whole dance on her balls, on the balls of her feet. In addition, her head position could have been better. There was no rise and fall, there was no sway, there was not enough gliding. She did sell the story of this dance. She didn't hide her emotions. She was into the music, but footwork wise, it had loads of mistakes. I want her to master the technical fundamentals of dance, and my score for her walls is, sadly, just a 4. And let's continue to Ugo and Oti and the samba. My biggest problem with this routine was its lack of some proper samba content and its repetitiveness. What Ugo did, he did lovely. He came out with a tag, he was into the dance, his musicality was excellent, though he lost it a bit towards the end. But what impressed me the most was the fact that he really tried to keep one leg straight and one leg bent during the various steps that he did. This is the basic principle of the samba. Keep one leg bent, the standing leg is bent, and the second leg is straight with the hip up. So he really tried to follow that basic principle of the samba. He's definitely a great student, and yes, it was lacking some hip rotation here and there, and his feet were turned in a bit, but still, he has shown some impressive footwork. I didn't like the whole section with the headbands. It was unnecessary, and I would have loved to see some more content instead, butterphotos for instance. to sum up, I think that he was undermined by the judges. For me, it was a very promising routine, and I will score the samba a 6. And let's continue to the next dance, Riz and Nancy dancing the Venus Waltz. His musicality was gorgeous. He moved with great ease and captivated me as a viewer. He really told a story with this of this dance. He really told a story with his face. His footwork was really impressive, lovely heel leads, nice gliding across the dance floor. But his frame could have been better because his right arm was dropped. And it was lacking sway, and he was a tad stiff at times. In addition, they broke hold during the dance, which is illegal. So if I have to sum up, Riz has shown understanding of the basic principles of the Venus Waltz. If he works on his frame a bit and learns how to create sway, his future ballroom routines will be exquisite. Lovely partnership, marvelous artistry, but needs polishing here and there, and my score for these Venus Waltz is a 6. And let's continue to Sarah and Aliash and the Cha-Cha-Cha. I loved her energy. Sarah's smile is addictive. Her chemistry with Aliash was spot on. They really looked great together. Technique-wise, Sarah danced most of the dance most of the time with both of her knees bent, which prevented her from creating hip action. It's the transition from bent to straight legs that enables creating hip movement. Having said that, her steps were neat and precise, and that is what made her stay exactly on the beat. It's very important in Latin to dance very precise, make very precise steps, almost dance in place, as opposed to ballroom. There was great amount of actual cha-cha content, maybe a tad too much because her actual leg action wasn't strong at all. For her future Latin, Sarah needs to learn how to make her hips move, but she's got the flair, she knows how to perform, and she has wonderful musicality, and my score for her cha-cha-cha is a 4. And let's continue to Dan and Nadia and the quick step. Dan is no longer a walker, but a dancer. Jokes aside, he did a great job. He was totally on time, he didn't miss a beat, and his partnership with Nadia was great, and he did amazing heel leads. What he needs to work on is frame and posture. Those two things were letting him down. His left arm was too parallel to the floor. The gentleman needs to, let me show you, needs to keep a certain angle between his left arm and the floor. Sadly, Dan's arm was too parallel to the floor, which is not correct. He needs to lift his shoulders more. He needs to keep his head constantly to the left and not look down. There is no answers on the floor. He's a leader. He needs to see where he's leading his partner to, Nadia to. In addition, and I'm getting picky here, when going backwards in ballroom, it's important to keep the front leg straight and his legs were bent too much. If Dan works on his posture and frame and being less stiff, he will go far in the competition, and I will score this quick step a 6. And let's continue to Rose and Giovanni and the jive. Unfortunately, there was hardly any actual jive in this routine. I would have loved to see much more proper content. For me, it really let Rose down. The little jive sections that she did needed to be much sharper and cleaner. She was stumpy, she didn't stretch her feet enough, there was no retraction in her kicks, and her chassis were lacking hip rotation as well as precision. Her legs were too bent as well. On the positive, Rose's timing was fantastic. Her partnership with Giovanni was great and she looked lovely. I want her to work on the technical fundamentals of the dance, and I would like to see much less fluffing around and significantly more content, and I will score the jive a 4. So I definitely agree with Shirley on her score. And let's continue to Katie and Gorka in the tango. Katie looked fantastic in her dress, and together with Gorka they made a very elegant couple in terms of presence. However, tango is about being grounded, like you are pulled by magnets. It requires stopping leg action and sharpness as well as fire in the eyes. Sadly, Katie didn't bend her knees enough. There were no heel leads. It wasn't sharp enough, and it was a tad stumpy. In addition, she couldn't hide her nerves, and she looked rather nervous than dramatic. Her head position and most of all her frame were really beautiful though. I want her to let loose. I want her to let all her worries go. I want to see more interplay between her and Gorka. She has such a natural elegance and poise if she only works on her facial expressions, as well as on the principles of the dance, I mean in the principles of the basic principles of the footwork, she will go far in the competition, and I will score this tango a 5. And let's continue to Robert and Diane and the Cha-Cha. It was extremely entertaining without any doubt, but it had a great amount of actual cha-cha content. Some steps were executed very well, like the human break and the New York, but unfortunately Robert had plenty of mistakes as well. He didn't straighten his legs in most of the steps where he should have done that, and it prevented him from creating the needed hip action and accent the beat properly with his body. In addition, he lost balance during one of his spins, like Tom did, and he really needs to work on his arms because they were quite bizarre. To sum up, it wasn't that bad. I didn't agree with the 4s, with the score of 4 that Mozzi and Shirley gave. I think that 6 was probably maybe a tad overscored. It wasn't that bad. Some parts were actually impressive, but it could have been technically stronger, and I will score it a 5. And let's move on to Greg and Karen and the American Smooth. It was really impressive in terms of musicality. I was really impressed by Greg's musicality and his performance abilities. He was into the dance with all his heart and soul. He showed some lovely emotions and he was having a great time on the dance floor, which is always very important. I loved Karen's choreography. It had great balance between proper Venus Waltz content and steps out of hold. There was even a section towards the end where they paid a tribute to Fred and Ginger. However, technically, this dance wasn't very strong. Although he went forward from the heel, which is very crucial in ballroom, his frame wasn't good and his posture wasn't good as well. He was really hunched. In addition, it was lacking sway and he needed to be much smoother. I want him to work primarily on his posture because that is truly the basic and the most crucial thing in dancing in general, to keep a nice posture. For his next ballroom routines, I would love him to work on his frame and on lining across the floor. I hope that in her future routines, Karen will keep this perfect balance between traditional steps and some more entertaining, more crowd-pleasing beats. I really liked this choreography. It definitely suited Greg, and I will score this dance a 5. So once again, I agree with Shirley, and I think that Anton really overscored this couple, or overscored Greg. And moving on to Nina and Neil dancing the samba. At first, I was sure that this routine is going to be awful because the first section of the actual samba had some gross mistakes. For example, Nina had both of her legs bent during the promenade runs when she should have kept her back leg straight completely with her hip up. However, Nina redeemed herself excellently during the second section of the actual samba, where she had some really nice footwork. For me, there were a lot of messing about, a lot of unnecessary steps that had nothing to do with samba and remind me more of the salsa. But as I've said, they had nothing to do with the samba. They were, in my opinion, just a waste of time. I wanted to see a tad more proper samba content. As I've said, some of the steps were incorrect and heavy, but some of them were really nice. I love Nina's attack. She wasn't hesitant even for a second. She has the right attitude for this competition. I just want her to work harder on the technical fundamentals of the dance. And I will be expecting to see more content next time. I didn't know what score should I give her. I was thinking maybe to give her 6, but I will be a bit harsh, and I will score this routine a 5. So let's move on to John and Johannes and the tango. From the very first beat of the music, one could feel the great partnership between those two. They danced in great sync, in such fantastic unison. John's frame was very good and he was totally into the music. I wish they would be given the chance to dance the Argentine tango, because historically the Argentine tango was danced by 2 men, and it will be very interesting to see their interpretation. John's choreography was great. There were loads of proper tango content. However, John had to get lower into his knees. He wasn't grounded enough, and there wasn't that important stocking movement, which is so essential in the tango. It's like being pulled by magnets and walking like um you don't want to make a lot of noise, like you are following quietly someone. I and in addition, I didn't really felt the character of the dance. John couldn't hide his nerves, and I wish John will work more on his performance skills and a tad more on his footwork and attention to details, which is always very, very important. And if he does so, he will do wonders. I think that this routine was overmarked by the judges, and I will score this tango a 6. And moving on to Judy and Graziano dancing the American Blues, we have just 3 couples left. So, Judy acted the dance perfectly. She and Graziano, artistry-wise, are an insane match. However, technically there were quite a lot of mistakes. There was no heel leads at all. Judy's steps was too small. Taking bit of steps and really pushing into the floor, that's what creates gliding, which is so important in ballroom dancing like the foxtrot. In addition, Judy's upper body could have been better. I really liked her frame though, it was excellent. I would like to see more emphasis on technique. As much as I loved the acting, it was too theatrical for me. There was no balance between great footwork and a great performance. It was too much acting. She owned the dance floor in terms of artistry, but she didn't do a good job of mastering the foxtrot. And my score, I'm thinking about giving it a 4, but I will be a bit lenient and I will score it a 5. And let's move on to AJ and Kai and the jive. Listen, this was without a trace of a doubt the best dance of the night. It was one of those moments where the celebrity totally dominates the floor, oozing confidence, oozing musicality, and above all, having fantastic technique. I wasn't keen on the song at all, but AJ was absolutely electrifying. She was light on her feet, her kicks were very sharp, it was all precise and neat. Her feel for the music was fantastic. She had a lovely knee retraction. She slipped her standing foot while doing the kicks. In other words, her jive had not only control and precision, but also truly lovely and strong footwork. It could have been flawless. I could have given it a 10 if she had rotated her hips during the jive thrusters, and if she had had even a tad more sharpness in her kicks. But nevertheless, it was a jive of an outstanding quality, rhythmically, energy-wise, performance-wise, body position-wise, choreography-wise. I mean, it was proper, full competition routine. Technicality wise, she shined out there brighter than the sun, and my score for her jive is an 8. And we are moving to the last couple of the evening, Adam and Katya performing the cha-cha-cha. Adam Peaty that was not a pity. He came out and performed a very nice cha-cha-cha. Adam has no dance background and he did a truly amazing job. He was totally into the music. He was lying on his feet. He was crisp. He was so calm and masculine out there. He came out with confidence. He had a great feel for the music. He really worked with Katya as one, which is very important. And it was masterful in this sense. He had some lovely footwork and some nice hip action. Adam really tried to go from bent leg to straight leg in order to accent the right beat of the music and create the needed hip action. He had a wonderful New York, for instance, with his front leg straight and lovely lockstep. However, there were places where his legs were when his leg was bent but should have been straight, and there were moments where I wanted to see more hip action. In addition, his arms were a bit bizarre at times, and also his steps were sometimes too wide. I think that he was slightly overmarked, even though some of his steps were truly impressive and his performance was radiating. And I will score, maybe I will be a bit lenient, and I will score the cha-cha-cha a 7. I really hope you have enjoyed my review. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next week. Bye bye.